Welcome to ameliaburton.com.au and welcome to my 5-part Fat Facts series. Over the next 5 video blogs, I'm going to be taking you into the depths of your bowels, into the cottage cheese in your thighs. We're going to be talking about fat and its effect on your body, and hopefully you'll pick up lots of little tips along the way and some fat facts that you may not have known about. But let's begin. What is body fat? Body fat is basically loosely connected connective tissue. It is called adipose tissue, and it is the way your body actually stores energy. So back in caveman days, when people could go for days without eating, when they did finally eat, they would store the fat from their meal and the energy from their meal in these in their fat cells, and that's what they would live off for the starvation period that they went in between meals. These days it's a little bit different. Obviously we have a much more abundance of food available, and so we often don't need to store quite so much that we do. Now there are 2 main types of fat, and this is what I'd like to really focus on today. The first type of fat we have is called subcutaneous fat, and that is the fat that lives directly underneath your skin. So if you sit there now and pinch your arm, or if you want to pick up take your t-shirt, lift your t-shirt and squeeze that love handles there, what you're lifting up and what you're feeling underneath your skin is subcutaneous body fat. Now that body fat, although you might not like it, is actually not as harmful as the second type of fat that I'd like to talk about. The second type of fat is visceral fat, or intra-abdominal body fat. You know, most of us have a father or a brother or an uncle, and they had that big fat Santa Claus belly, very hard belly, and they'd say, no, this is rock solid, this is all muscle. Unfortunately, no, it's not all muscle. That is what we call visceral fat, and that is the dangerous fat because it is the intra-abdominal fat that is marbled between and stored between all your vital organs. It puts your organs under a lot of pressure. It also has to get processed by the liver and releases the LDL cholesterol, which is some of our the bad cholesterol, lousy LDL cholesterol, into the bloodstream, which can cause all sorts of heart diseases, from high cholesterol to blood pressure issues, etc. So visceral body fat, or the fat around the midsection, is the most dangerous type of body fat. Women out there will often tend to be pear-shaped, and they'll tend to store their body fat on their hips, which is more your subcutaneous body fat. Men, on the other hand, tend to be more the apple shapes. They tend to store body fat around the midsection. Now, some people argue that it's more difficult to lose weight from the midsection, and that visceral fat is actually harder to lose than subcutaneous fat. In my practical experience as a personal trainer, I would often have much faster fat loss results on my big-bellied men with the hard tummies. So I'd like to see a bit more research based around that, because in my experience, once you start cardiovascular training, the visceral fat will start to go quite quickly. So that's it for today. For fat fact number 1 is what is body fat and the 2 different types of body fat. So I hope you learned something today, and I'll see you back for round 2 shortly.